caught up in this fast life. Every morning night I pray, gotta make it out some way. Put a smile back on my mama face. Yeah, I'm caught up in this fast life. Every morning night I pray, gotta make it out some way. Put a smile back on my mama face. Yeah.
So you did, what, 3 years in juvenile or something like that? Because you said 35 years altogether?
No, 35 years altogether because
the 3 years you've been home.
Right. But the time I was home, not because of the 3 years I was home, the time that I came home, I wasn't out. You know what I mean? Like Stephen Pina right now. You're not out. It's a few brothers that get out.
Yeah.
You understand that? But you got these bracelets on. I didn't have none of that. Because my thing was clear, but these guys got bracelet on and different things.
Right.
So you're out, but you're still fighting them.
Right.
But there's enough to say we'll bail you or
we'll bail you, but you're still fighting this
But you're
case.
still fighting this case. But we see enough to say, you know, you got a good record in prison and, you know, move it on.
So we talked about Boston, talked about coming from the South, going to Chicago, and then relocating to here and stuff. But then, you know, take us to, now we're talking 18. You get picked up for a murder case that you later on now in 2019 were released because obviously you were wrongly convicted. And the case actually wasn't in Boston. It was in Brockton. Right. So take us to that. Like, how did you get to Brockton? Take us to Boston at that time because this was 35 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yes.
Okay, so it's almost like when Cape Verdeans became acknowledgeable to blacks. Let's just say, although it's all Angola's black.
Yeah.
But the women were different groups of women in Brockton. It was a different area. So it was just like leaving Boston and going to Providence. You know what I mean? Back then, and they would have the shows, Fat Boys or somebody did the Fresh Fest or something. Okay. Yeah, it's like getting on that bus. You see them saying those real memories.
The Bat Bus?
You know what I mean? Getting on that bus, man, and headed out there, and, you know, you're out in Providence or whatever you're doing. It's the same thing.
Oh, in Providence, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's the same form of entertainment, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's the same form. It's the same form.
So you would go out there for entertainment, party life?
Yeah, I was trying to shorten it because my mind actually knows a whole bunch of reasons, but they would all equal out, honestly. And I think I could say this because it's the truth, but it was all equal out to girls. Girls were in Brockton, so at that time, I'm Diamond, I'm in Brockton.
Okay, makes sense.
You understand that?
Yeah.
So
no,
that was my MO.
You
You're 18, this is what happens.
You need a new environment. Sometimes people are like, yo, there's a bunch of girls in this city or this town, and then you be like, let's go, because it's new faces, new things. They don't know you, it's whatever.
And you're young, so you make a reputation. And at that time, you know, the rap industry thing was going. And shout out to Mantronics and my bro Big Chuck, because during that time, we would come into the, you know, those shows. You know, you'd be over there. Things would happen. And at the Roseland Ballroom, it was a Brockton thing, you know what I mean? They were like, go up, Diamond, you know what I mean? At that time, known as that, because I was rapping all the time. And I went up, and I just rapped or whatever, and Mantronics actually gave me this contract. Like, they started working it out, and that's when Mantronics was Mantronics. But see, you're self-arrogant of, like, girls and your own flash, and you coming from something. If you don't know yourself, I didn't know. I just know, like, these representation of things mean I'm in there. Right. You know, basically ripped that up and was like, nah, I don't want to be no rapper. And then this fall upon me. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. This fall upon me. So it was reputation because I had reputation. And someone could formulate that.
Right? Yeah. This is important because even though this happened, again, over 30-something years ago, these are also things that are still happening today, right? And it happened in my generation. Like, we all know someone who went to Providence to go party and meet new girls or hang with a group of girls, and something happened, and they ended up getting caught up for something that had nothing to do with them, just wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
But there's intention, right? There's intention. In this instance, like, I was trying to make a case of representation. So often now what I find in myself when I'm speaking, that thing about we just let go, what people interpret, I do just let go. But what I do is I realize that the catalog for what I feel about a moment or what I suffered is a lot in my mind. So it's almost like when someone's on their computer, the DJ, and you see now everything's computer, and he's got all this list of songs or whatever. My mind is actually doing that in dialogue because there's a whole bunch of things that go on. The time works differently for me. You know what I mean? I want people to really be conscious of that. The time in my mind works differently. I don't have as much time to give away. Right. You see what I'm saying? So it is important to me.
Time is very important.
You know what I mean? It's the value.
And that's why I appreciate you coming to sit with us.
We
Definitely.
to sit
Absolutely.
with us. So 1985, because I like Rose said, there's a lot of people that go through these type of things, and you know, some people be like, man, everybody say they innocent. You know what I'm saying? Everybody say
hate
this.
that.
And I'm like, yo, how you know this person's not innocent? Because we do know a lot of people that got convicted or arrested for things they did not do.
Right.
Because, you know, they got to get some numbers or they got to get somebody for this crime. A lot of, you know, pressure maybe.
And honestly, the officials don't care as long as somebody's locked up. They don't care.
It's very easy to arrest the wrong person, but it's very hard to let the right person out.
Right.
Like you arrested the wrong person, and you're making it hard for this person to get out. You know what I'm saying?
But
and
it's
like,
but like Darrell said, it's hard for them to admit that they're wrong. You know what I mean? And I see that with your case. I see that with many cases. Like, even though, like, okay, all this is coming out, the judge is like, okay, we have the wrong person. And the police in the case are like, no, but we knew back in 1980. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, you know what, we had it wrong. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's none of that. So
there's no accountability.
Yeah, but it's a myth, right? And I want to be clear about this, right? It's a myth. So the myth is thinking, even for a moment, that we can exclude the idea of they all say they're innocent. You have to start changing the philosophy of that, right? Because that is not really what's happening in prison. Out here, that's just the philosophy. It actually stops a lot of innocent men from their campaign to get out of here. Right. Because when you're really trying to have a campaign and you're the one that's pushing it out, people are hitting you with, like, they're not even looking. If I put me on Facebook, you didn't know me before that, although I was campaigning and in paper and trying to get out of prison.
Right.
There was no such podcast pulling up outside the prison like, yo, Darrell Jones is in there, brother Ricky McGee is in there, Fuquan is in there. You know, shout out to my brother Fuquan, we want home now. But no one's out there doing that. You know what I mean? No one was doing that for me. So it's not everyone in there saying that. You know the difference. When you're really innocent on something like, oh, that has nothing to do with me. Like, the street know like you know.
You're right.
Right, absolutely.
I know it don't matter what the DA
they know.
Right.
The streets know.
Knowing, like, that person didn't do it.
It doesn't matter what the DA, prosecution, or nobody else knows, right? What it is the streets know.
The community know.
I'm in the joint with you, and you in, you know, we sitting around. You know, I don't got to tell you that. And that means your girl know, and the neighborhood know.
Right.
Right. We under our code. You know what I mean? And eventually, somehow in life, you know, maybe one day I know. You see what I'm saying? But our code is like, I'm not the police. My job is not to go get you.
Yeah.
Their job was to investigate for you. You understand that? And their job was not done. It was done to me. They didn't do the job. They did me.
I'm caught up in this fast life. Every morning night I pray. Gotta make it out some way. Put a smile back